The Demon King from the Seven Deadly Sins appears as a huge armored figure with a long beard, but later his form changes drastically depending on whose body he takes over. When he fully takes control of Zeldris, he becomes a towering, youthful, muscular demon with black hair and a menacing mark on his forehead. His transformations don't stop there. After losing his hosts, he absorbs his own commandments into the land itself, twisting mountains, animals, and nature into his body, turning into a monster so gigantic he could be seen from the kingdom of Lioness. Demon King is harsh and puts the demon clan above everything. He doesn't forgive betrayal, not even from his sons, Meliodas and Zeldris. He killed and cursed Meliodas after he betrayed the clan for Elizabeth, and even forced Zeldris to slaughter or seal the vampire clan after their rebellion. His devotion to his laws is absolute, and he has no patience for trickery. For example, when Merlin tricked him into giving her a blessing without joining his clan, he teamed up with the supreme deity to wipe out her entire homeland, Belialuin. He is arrogant to the point of believing he decides everything that happens in purgatory, but at the same time, he's clever and calculating. He doesn't underestimate his enemies and fights with full force, even against weaker opponents. Despite this, he has a sarcastic side, often mocking Meliodas, Zeldris, and others. What's interesting is that even though he's ruthless, he still shows small moments of twisted fatherly care, like offering Meliodas a chance to reclaim his spot as heir if he returned to his old self. His history is also massive. He was created by Chaos, alongside the supreme deity and the sacred tree, and given the role of opposing her. To build his army, he created the demon realm and the demon clan. At one point, he even made the original demon by splitting his power in half, but when it rebelled, he split it again into two demons, Chandler and Cusack. To avoid another betrayal, he split his power further into 10 pieces and gave them to his strongest warriors, forming the 10 Commandments. Eventually, he fathered Meliodas and Zeldris with the intention of using them as vessels to regain his lost strength. For thousands of years, he waged war against the goddess clan, cursed Meliodas and Elizabeth to suffer eternally, and eventually got sealed away in purgatory. Even there, he remained active, watching Meliodas through creatures like Hawk and battling Wild Hawk's brother over 120,000 times. The Demon King's main ability, the Ruler, lets him invert any attack against him, turning damage into healing. Even Meliodas's full counter and band snatch were useless against it. He has monstrous durability, immense strength, and is a master swordsman despite his giant size. His curses are some of the most brutal in the series. He cursed Meliodas with immortality so he would never truly be with Elizabeth, and cursed Elizabeth with endless reincarnation, forcing her to reunite with Meliodas only to die in front of him every time. He can also manipulate nature, summon beasts, create devastating weapons like the Hellgate Blade, and control darkness itself. His sheer lifespan is mind-blowing. He's been alive for over 1.5 billion years due to the twisted flow of time in purgatory. The founding titan from Attack on Titan is known as the first of the 9 titans. It's practically a god with insane powers that can reshape the world. The founding titan's real strength lies in its abilities, activated by a scream. It can create titans, control them like puppets, mess with people's memories, alter their bodies, and even communicate telepathically with the subjects of Ymir. It's no wonder Grisha Jaeger called it an invincible power, and Marley dubbed it the coordinate, the point where all titan paths connect. This titan's history kicks off 2,000 years ago with Ymir Fritz, a girl who stumbled into a spine-like creature that turned her into the first titan. She used her powers to serve King Fritz, crushing enemies like Marley and building an empire for Eldia. After her death, her powers split into the 9 titans, with the founding titan passed down through her royal bloodline. Fast forward to Karl Fritz, the 145th king, who got sick of Eldia's violent past and used the founding titan to build 3 massive walls on Paradise Island made of Colossus titans to isolate his people. He even erased their memories of the outside world to keep them in the dark. But only those with royal blood, like the Fritz or Reiss families, could fully tap into the founding titan's powers, unless someone like Eren, a non-royal, touched a royal-blooded titan, like when he punched Dina Fritz's titan and accidentally unleashed a swarm of titans to save Mikasa. The founding titan's story gets wilder with its vow-renouncing war, a mental block Karl Fritz set up to stop his successors from using the titan's power for violence. This vow messed with royal inheritors like Frida Reiss, who'd act all peaceful but sometimes snap, like when she got mad at Historia for climbing a fence. Eren, though, found a loophole. By connecting with Ymir Fritz's soul in the paths, a kind of mystical dimension, he broke free of the vow and unleashed the Rumbling, a catastrophic march of wall titans to destroy the world outside Paradise. His end titan form, a creepy, elongated beast, was like nothing else, leading an army of titans while he wrestled with the moral weight of his actions. Eren even used the founding titan's clairvoyance to see past, present, and future at once, influencing events like his mom's death to shape history. In the end, his plan to become the world's villain and let his friends stop him led to the founding titan's power vanishing, along with all titans after his death. Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, or STTGL, is the ultimate form of Gurren Lagann. It was formed during the final battle against the anti-spiral after Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann was destroyed. At that point, Team Dai Gurren split up, with each member forming their own massive Tengen Toppa gunmen. Simon piloted Tengen Toppa Lagann, which eventually absorbed the spiral energy released by Lord Genome's sacrifice. That energy, along with the combined power of the other gunmen, merged together into Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, a form bigger and more powerful than anything seen before. The appearance of STTGL is striking. It looks like a massive humanoid gunman with a body shaped out of a universe, complete with glowing bones running through it. Its design resembles Simon, right down to the oversized head and his iconic star-shaped sunglasses, though the cape it wears is more like Kamina's. Inside its forehead sits Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, acting as its cockpit. The sheer size of this mech is beyond normal numbers. Official sources say it is larger than the observable universe, which is about 93 billion light years across. Fan calculations estimate STTGL's height somewhere between 348 billion light years and more than 10 trillion light years. To put it simply, it dwarfs galaxies. When it transformed into its drill form, the drill stretched about 200 trillion light years in length. In terms of power, STTGL is fueled by spiral power on an infinite level. This happened because Simon tapped into every possible version of himself across all alternate realities, combining their will and energy into his body. That power was then shared with all members of Team Dai Gurren, letting them summon gunmen that were each as strong as Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann itself. When they all merged, STTGL was born, standing as the embodiment of spiral power at its peak. Its strongest move was the Super Tengen Toppa Giga Drill Break, a drill attack so massive that when it clashed with the anti-spiral's own drill, the force collapsed the entire anti-spiral universe into a void. Even with its unmatched size and power, STTGL did not win instantly. The anti-spiral countered by forming Super Grand Zaboma, another universe-scale mech. The two titans clashed, with drills larger than multiverses colliding and tearing space-time apart. At one point, smaller versions of Gurren Lagann emerged from STTGL, each one holding the line long enough for Simon's spirit and determination to break through. In the end, it was Simon himself, still unharmed inside despite the destruction around him, who landed the final blow against the anti-spiral. Once the battle was over and the anti-spiral was defeated, STTGL disappeared along with that universe, never to be seen again. Super Shenron is the eternal dragon that appears when the Super Dragon Balls are gathered, and unlike other dragons like Shenron or Porunga, his scale is absolutely ridiculous. His body is pure gold with a bright yellow shine, glowing crimson eyes, massive bat-like wings, and spikes along his tail. He doesn't even have legs, and his sheer size is beyond comprehension. He's so large that his body is shown stretching across multiple galaxies between Universe 6 and Universe 7. In fact, he's considered the biggest creature in the entire Dragon Ball franchise. Even though he's galaxy-sized, he has the ability to shrink himself down. At the end of the Tournament of Power, for example, he appeared just slightly larger than the arena. Super Shenron was created by Zalama, the dragon god, who also made the Super Dragon Balls. To summon him, someone has to say a special chant in the divine language, and even the wish itself must be spoken in that same language. When summoned, Super Shenron doesn't just pop up right in front of people. His full presence is so overwhelming that wishers usually get transported inside his body to his core, which is like his nucleus, to actually deliver the wish. Despite how intimidating he looks, he doesn't go on a rampage. He only communicates in that divine language and waits for the wish to be made. Unlike the smaller dragons who can grant multiple wishes but with limits, Super Shenron only grants one wish per summoning, but that one wish has no limits at all. His power has been described as capable of anything, restoring entire universes, granting immortality, swapping bodies, and even creating matter out of nothing. In fact, Beerus once said he could have asked Super Shenron to destroy the universe if he wanted to. The Menos Grande from Bleach is one of the most bizarre creatures, not just because of its size, but because of how it is actually formed. Standing at about 18 feet tall, its upper body looks skeletal, with a gray body and a long tongue that constantly dangled from its mouth. Part of its mask was broken, exposing its human-like mouth and chin. The most unusual part was its lower body. Instead of regular legs, it had a spinning top-like structure that was actually a second hollow. This meant the Menos Grande was two hollows fused into one, and both halves could move and fight on their own. The Menos Grande appeared during the Arrancar arc, when it entered the human world through a tear in space. Without warning, it attacked Uryu Ishida with its tongue, smashing the ground where he had been standing. Uryu fought back, using his Quincy techniques to cut off its arm, but the creature shocked him by regenerating it instantly. While chasing him, the Menos Grande split into two separate forms. The top half tried to ambush Uryu with its tongue at close range, while the bottom half spun behind him to trap him. Before the hollow could finish him off, Ryuken Ishida, Uryu's father, appeared and saved him. With a single spirit arrow, Ryuken blasted off the creature's tongue, then destroyed its head completely. The bottom half tried to attack Uryu while his his guard was down, but Ryukin finished it off too. This Menos Grande had high spiritual power, enough that Uryu questioned if it was really the same type of Menos seen before. It could move with surprising speed despite its bulky frame, and its split body gave it an advantage in combat by flanking enemies. Its tongue was its deadliest weapon, used to stab and drag prey into its mouth. On top of that, it had high-speed regeneration, regrowing a lost arm almost instantly. Like other Menos, it could also use Kumon to tear through dimensions and appear in the human world without warning. Licht from Black Clover was the leader of the elf tribe and one of the 10 apostles of Saphira. Despite being the leader, Licht wasn't cold or strict. He was kind, compassionate, and believed that elves and humans could one day live together in peace. His dream was strengthened when he saved a human woman named Tetia from a magical tornado. She was the sister of Lemiel Silva Million Clover, the first wizard king. Licht and Tetia eventually fell in love, got married, and even had twins. Their marriage was supposed to symbolize unity between humans and elves, but it turned into the darkest day of his life. On his wedding day, human royals ambushed the elves and slaughtered them, stealing their magic for themselves. This massacre was secretly orchestrated by the devil Zagred, who wanted to use Licht's despair to corrupt him. Almost all elves were wiped out, and Licht was left devastated. He discovered that Zagred wanted to take over his body, so instead of letting that happen, Licht used the magic stones to turn himself into a demon. His demonic form was so powerful and destructive that Lemiel, his closest friend and brother-in-law, had no choice but to fight him. Lemiel defeated him, killing the demon form and leaving behind Licht's massive skeleton, which later became a landmark near Haga village. 500 years later, Licht was revived in an artificial body by Patoli, who misunderstood his true will. During this time, Licht seemed quiet and emotionless, but deep inside he still carried his old feelings. When the elves were reincarnated, Licht fought Asta and Yuno. He wielded legendary weapons like the Demon Slayer, Demon Dweller, and Demon Destroyer swords, which later played huge roles in the story. He could absorb magic, release powerful slashes, and move at speed so fast that even Yuno and Asta struggled to keep up. His magic power was so overwhelming that it rivaled Lemiel's light magic. During the battle in the Shadow Palace, Licht stood against Zagred once again. With Lemiel and the others by his side, he combined his magic to attack the devil. In one of his strongest moments, Licht absorbed the magic of all the elves and unleashed a massive attack that nearly destroyed Zagred. Even though Zagred's heart survived, this attack proved just how strong Licht truly was. He later worked with Asta, Yuno, Lemiel, and Patoli to finally defeat the devil. Before passing on, Licht thanked Yuno for letting him fight alongside his son and entrusted his grimoire to Asta. The sea god from Berserk was sealed inside a cave on an island by a tribe of Marrows, who feared its hunger and power. For years, the islanders stayed away from the cave and treated it as a taboo place. Despite being trapped, the sea god could still reach out with its tentacles during full moons, killing fishermen who got too close. Its presence created a dreadful atmosphere over the whole island, and the people started to view the Marrows with suspicion, even though the Marrows were the ones who originally stopped the beast. Physically, the sea god is massive, and its most frightening trait is the countless tentacles that extend from its body, with each one branching into even more. What sets it apart from other giant creatures is how it assimilates the humans it devours. Instead of killing them outright, it turns them into tentacle-based extensions of itself, while allowing them to keep their personalities and natural form to some degree. Victims like Bonebeard, a pirate, and even entire island populations ended up becoming part of the creature. These people could still talk and act, but they were essentially under the sea god's control. The inside of its body was just as dangerous, filled with parasitic and symbiotic creatures like giant isopods, lampreys, and spider-like beings that acted as a defense system. Even its heart was a weapon, capable of sending out shockwaves of kinetic energy strong enough to disorient guts. The story of the sea god comes to a head in the Fantasia arc. After the great roar of the astral world, it breaks free again, consuming the Captain Shark Rider pirates, the islanders, and even ships. When Guts and his crew arrive, they discover the horrifying truth that the people they once saw were now just tentacle extensions. Guts decides to go directly into the sea god's body, where he faces swarms of the parasites living inside it. Together with Shierka, he eventually makes it to the creature's heart, which was covered in eyes and heavily guarded. While outside, the Marrows fought back with their songs, which were the sea god's weakness. This weakened the monster just long enough for Guts to strike its heart, killing it from the inside. The death of the sea god caused it to spill out all the ships and people it had swallowed. Marugori is one of the biggest giant creatures in One Punch Man. Originally, he was just a human obsessed with becoming stronger, but that obsession led him to take a dangerous drug called Biceps Brachii King. This was created by his older brother, Fukegao, who was a scientist. Once Marugori drank it, his body went through a painful transformation, turning him into a massive 270-meter tall mutant, so tall that he dwarfed cities. He was loyal to his brother and wanted nothing more than to become the strongest man in the world. After mutating, he carried Fukegao on his shoulder and headed toward D-City. To test his strength, he swung his arm once and wiped out entire buildings, creating shockwaves that tore the city apart. Fukegao was thrilled and told him to move toward the next city, confident they could dominate the world. But things went wrong quickly when Saitama appeared. While Fukugao panicked at the intruder on Marugori's other shoulder, Marugori swatted at the wrong side and accidentally crushed his own brother. The mistake devastated him, but instead of stopping, his anger turned toward Saitama. Marugori tried everything he could to kill Saitama. He threw him to the ground, stomped with such force that the impact left a crater over 100 meters wide, and unleashed a rapid barrage of punches that could have destroyed anyone else. Believing he had won, Marugori mourned his brother, until Saitama casually jumped back up and ended the fight with a single punch to the face. The blow instantly killed Marugori and sent his enormous body crashing into Beast City, wiping it off the map in seconds. Reiss from Attack on Titan is one of the biggest and strangest giant creatures. In his human form, he was short, a little overweight, and looked like any normal nobleman. He carried himself with calmness most of the time, but inside he was driven by fear, obsession with his family's legacy, and desperation to keep the founding Titan within the Reiss bloodline. When he turned into a Titan, Rod grew into one of the largest ever seen, reaching a total of 120 meters. That's double the size of the Colossus Titan, which already towered over the walls at 60 meters. But despite his massive size, his body was grotesque and unbalanced. He had a huge torso, small limbs, and could not even stand upright. Instead, he was forced to crawl across the land like a worm, tearing apart everything in his path. His face was completely destroyed because he dragged it along the ground, exposing his skull and even parts of his brain. His ribs were open on the front, and when he moved, his body stretched and contracted in a disturbing worm-like motion. His Titan form was so hot that even being near him could burn people alive. Trees would catch fire just from his presence, and soldiers had to drench themselves in water to get anywhere close. Despite being a terrifying force of nature, Rod's transformation came from pure desperation. After Historia refused to inject herself with the Titan serum and take the founding Titan from Eren, Rod panicked and licked the serum off the ground like an addict. His rampage ended at Orvud district, where cannons, explosives, and the Survey Corps fought to bring him down. The final blow came when Historia herself cut the piece of his nape, killing her own father. Even in death, fragments of his memories reached her, revealing that deep down he once begged his father to free humanity from the Titans. Surume is a kraken from the North Pole, known as the monster of the Arctic, and he's about 300 meters long, which means he's bigger than Watatsumi. Unlike a normal octopus, Surume has a turtle-shaped head without a beak and at least 18 tentacles, which is more than double what real octopuses have. At first, he looked terrifying, with sharp eyes and a menacing mouth, and he was known for dragging ships and their crews down into the sea. When the Straw Hats first saw him, his tentacles were full of crushed pirate ships. Surume wasn't always free, though. He was captured by Hody Jones and the new Fishman pirates, who used him as their slave. They kept his family hostage back in the North Pole, forcing him to guard the entrance to Fishman Island and attack any ship that passed. That's why he seemed hostile when the Straw Hats showed up. He even tried to crush the Thousand Sunny with his tentacles until Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji stepped in to fight him. During the battle, Sanji burned one tentacle, Zoro cut another, and Luffy knocked him out with Gear 3, despite being weakened by seawater. Even then, Luffy didn't want to kill him. He wanted to tame him. After being subdued, Surume was eventually named and befriended by Luffy, which completely changed his attitude. He went from looking scary to smiling and even playful, like when he wore the Thousand Sunny on his head as if it were a hat. The real turning point came during the battle at Fishman Island. Hody ordered Surume to fight against the Straw Hats, reminding him that he was still a slave. But when Luffy called him by the name Surume and told him they were friends, the Kraken broke free of Hody's control. From then on, he fought alongside the Straw Hats and even protected Princess Shirahoshi. At one point, he almost hurt her because Hody threatened to kill his family, but Luffy promised to protect them, and Surume immediately trusted him again. Later, he even beat up Watatsumi during the chaos at Gaion Quarter Plaza, though he was eventually knocked out when Watatsumi used an energy steroid. The Daruma Horse from Toriko is a massive demon beast that comes from the legendary bloodline of Heracles, one of the 8 kings. Standing at 1,000 meters tall and stretching 1,300 meters long, it weighs around 40 million tons. The horse first appeared when Zebra borrowed it from the Daruma Hermit during the Four Beast arc. Despite Zebra not being as strong at that time, the beast still followed him without resistance. Its size and strength are so overwhelming that simply walking could destroy buildings, and it was seen casually eating entire hillsides after a battle. Its speed is another shocking feature. It managed to run from the site of Zebra's fight with the Mount Turtle all the way to the center of the human world almost instantly. Characters like Terry and Quinn are known for being extremely fast, but even they couldn't match the Daruma Horse's pace. Its stamina is also incredible, as it showed no sign of exhaustion after traveling such massive distances. Daruma Horse played a vital role during the Four Beast incident by helping transport key characters like Komatsu when he was preparing the antidote for the deadly green rain. Later in the AIR arc, it was seen peacefully grazing in Nightmare Hill among other animals of the gourmet world. The 10 Tails, or Jubi, from Naruto is basically the origin of chakra itself. Long before the hidden villages, the Otsutsuki clan planted the 10 Tails seed on Earth to harvest the chakra fruit. Kaguya Otsutsuki broke the rules and ate the fruit, using its power to stop wars. Later, when she wanted all chakra back for herself, she fused with the god tree and became the 10 Tails. This kicked off a massive fight with her sons, Hagoromo and Hamura. They eventually sealed the beast inside the moon, but to make sure it wouldn't return, Hagoromo split its chakra into the 9-tailed beasts. That's why the 10 Tails is called the ancestor of every tailed beast. The 10 Tails isn't like Kurama or the others. It has no feelings, no emotions, and acts only to gather chakra. Its look changes as it evolves, but some features stay the same. A single huge eye, spikes along its back, and tails that can sprout hands. Its power is beyond anything else in the series. The 10 Tails has unlimited chakra, physical strength that dwarfs all other beasts, and attacks that can reshape the world. It can fire tailed beast balls strong enough to level mountains and cities, create natural disasters with a roar, and even generate clones from its own body. When it became the god tree again, its roots could drain chakra instantly, turning people into lifeless husks. On top of that, it's the only beast capable of fueling the infinite Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu cast on the entire planet. Kurama once said even all 9-tailed beasts together wouldn't be enough to stop it. Ikusa-Tsunagi from Fairy Tail comes from the Yakuma 18 Battle Gods magic, a powerful set of spells that originated from the now extinct Yakuma clan. To summon it, the user has to form a contract with the battle god first, and once the bond is created, calling its name brings Ikusa-Tsunagi into the world. Ikusa-Tsunagi is a massive muscular figure with black armor-like skin. When summoned, Ikusa-Tsunagi carries an enormous sword nearly as tall as itself. The weapon is not for show. It's capable of cutting through the ground for kilometers with a single swing, demonstrating just how much raw force it wields. Despite being this overwhelmingly strong, Ikusa-Tsunagi is fully controlled by the caster. It only acts on their command, essentially becoming a weapon of war in the hands of whoever summoned it. Its sheer strength makes it one of the most destructive summoned creatures, but it does have a weakness. If it takes enough direct damage to the head, the battle god can be destroyed, ending its rampage. Moon, also known as the Whale King from the world of Toriko, is a black hole whale and the ruler of Area 6, the sea continent. Standing at 2,500 meters tall and stretching to 10,000 meters in length, Moon weighs around 1.5 trillion tons. It holds the title of one of the 8 kings, the strongest beasts that rule different parts of the gourmet world, and among them, Moon is considered to have the greatest power. The Whale King's most basic power is the ability to consume all matter and light in an instant, like a living black hole. Sometimes this happens passively, where anything that touches the black triangle waters near Moon disappears without it even realizing. Other times, it actively uses its power by collapsing its body into a black hole and sucking in everything around it. Hundreds of prey, enormous volumes of water, and even light itself. The suction from its mouth is so strong that people living far away in Blue Grill can feel it as earthquakes. On top of that, it can release blasts of appetite energy strong enough to fight even the likes of Acacia, one of the series' final villains. Moon has a long history in the gourmet world. It once fought a mother snake from Area 4 in a battle so intense that it left behind mother tornadoes, storms that still rage on to this day. During the series' major arcs, Moon shows its presence whenever huge events shake the world. It reacts when Toriko and Stargen unleash their full powers, when Heracles gives birth after the preparation of AIR, and when Neo awakens. During the God arc, Moon arrives with the other 8 kings to face Acacia and Neo. It demonstrates its terrifying power by sucking away the entire ocean and light itself. Even when Acacia shatters its meteorite shell, Moon's true body simply emerges and continues fighting. One of Moon's most notable moments is when it consumes the Snake King, who deliberately sacrifices itself to drag Neo into the Soul World. Even then, Neo manages to escape, tearing through Moon's body, but the Whale King survives with only minimal damage compared to the other kings. Later, Acacia brutally eats parts of Moon's face, temporarily taking it out of the fight. In the end, Moon is healed by Center, another ingredient with godlike properties, but after the battle, it and the other surviving 8 kings retire from their thrones, leaving a power vacuum in the gourmet world. If you like this video, turn on the notification bell and subscribe for more.